We have some special guests in the studio today.
Yes.
First of all, I kidnapped Big Papi, DJ Enuff, and
I'm
I'm
in
like,
here.
you're going to hang out with me.
I'm in here, sis.
And then we got Hitmaka in the building.
Yeah.
I have to refrain myself from calling you Young Bird.
Yeah,
It's
you've been
killing
calling
me
me
because
Berg
I
for
know.
decades,
I'm like,
yeah.
Berg. And I'm like,
I know.
Formerly known, TT, formerly known. And shout out to my brother Ghazi, who's in the building from Empire.
He's
shout
the
out to
Empire.
you. He is the Empire,
He
right?
is the Empire.
He is the Empire. First of all, congratulations, Hitmaker.
Thank you.
On all your success.
Thank you.
You recently joined the Empire team as the, what is it? Hold on, I want to make sure I get it right. Vice President
Yeah. It's
of
something like that.
A&R.
Yeah. I mean, man, Empire is like a real family. You know what I'm saying? So titles really don't mean much to
Right.
me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can call Ghazi. Ghazi's here with me at my interview.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just a family-oriented thing. So the title, whatever it is, I'm just here to get the job done and,
Well,
help us take
congratulations.
it to the
I
next
recently
level.
got Vice President.
You too,
Here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I understand
Yeah.
how titles mean nothing when you have been putting in the work
Exactly.
over the years, but it's great that your peers and your colleagues recognize the hard work
For sure.
and want to reward you. And as my
sure.
therapist would say, don't swipe it underneath the rug. Take a moment and celebrate it.
Word.
So we're going to celebrate it.
Celebrate that, y'all.
Shout out to your therapist. I like that.
So what else do we have going on? Not with just Empire, because I know you guys got a slew of acts that y'all are breaking over there, but
Yeah.
also with your body of work. I know
Man.
you're always working.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. So yesterday was so crazy. Kevin Gates, shout out to Kevin Gates. His record went gold, so that officially made me 80 million records sold. So man, I'm almost at 10 billion streams, 80 million records sold, and I'm just been. Foot on necks. Everybody's single.
Producer.
Everybody's stuff. I probably got 8 records at radio out of 50 that's going right now. You know what I'm
Can
saying?
you just
so it's a
run
good
them
vibe.
down so people listening can understand we're in
Okay.
they're hearing greatness on the radio.
Wale Angles featuring Chris Brown.
Playing that.
Young Blue the baddest
Playing
featuring
that
Chris
too.
Brown
Playing
and 2 Chainz. French Montana, F with me, get it back. I'm also
Playing
the
that.
executive producer of French Montana's album. MK One Time, Rotimi, What to Do. It can go on and on for real.
Basically all the records we play here at Hot 97, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's why I'm here. I love y'all for that.
Absolutely.
So Enough, you know the producer side more than any of us in the room outside of Hitmaker because you worked with Notorious B.I.G. and you actually
I got a chance to produce a couple of records. Yes,
you
ma'am.
actually A&R'd and produced a lot of records, and you actually saw his evolution.
Yeah.
And you've known Hitmaker for over the years. What's the key?
I met
to
him
that
during my
sauce?
BET days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man
My
ago.
106 in Park BET
Nah, for
days.
real.
Yeah.
What would you say the key to the sauce to staying consistent when you're in that world?
I don't know for him, but for me, it was just it's like the temperature and the heartbeat,
Yeah.
and you being able to have a good marriage with the partner. So if you're producing the music, somebody has to do the lyric part and the writing part of it, and that together essentially makes a hit record. And if he has the vision for it, that's why he calls himself the Hitmaker.
Yeah.
So I think he's got his pulse, his finger on the pulse, brother. And that's we were just talking about you before you even got up here, and I was saying how proud I was of you because you just restarted your whole career all over again.
Yeah, reset button. For me, it's just staying on the pulse of everything. You know
How
what I'm saying?
often do you reset though? I'm curious.
No, me resetting was from Young Berg to Hitmaker, and I just pressed the reset button on my whole career. But as far as me, I just stay on the pulse of what's hot, and I stay in the studio as hard as it is a task with also having my own company and also establishing my own publishing company and working with a lot of different
But I
people.
think it's important for people to understand sometimes in life, period, in your career, you need to hit the reset button.
Yeah, for sure.
We all do it.
Because sometimes we think what we're doing is that big thing because
Right.
we've been in it and we're so close to it and we can't see past what we can see.
Facts. And I think a lot of people need to understand that if you're really in this business, this music business, and you're in it for a long time and make a career of it, it's nothing wrong with evolving. You can start as an artist, and then you could evolve and be one of the biggest managers in the game, or you could evolve and be on some Hitmaker and be one of the biggest producers.
Yeah. Because you probably, when you were rapping as a rapper did you think, okay, that was it for me? I hit the epitome.
No, I always like study like the greats, Berry Gordy, Quincy Jones. I always loved the executive side too. And L.A. Reid was like someone that was like a black guy that I seen really doing it. So I always felt like, man, I'm going to come and I'm going to be one of the biggest executives in the game. And that's what's so funny. Like when I worked for Atlantic, because before I went to Empire, I worked for Atlantic for 4 years. And like I used to see Craig Calvin and be like, yo, I'm going to make you get up out the seat. I'm going to be the biggest executive in the game. And I didn't want to say it with like no disrespect to it or whatever. But it's just like, yo, I gotta have that hunger and that energy inside.
Because it's hard, though. It's so hard for people to transition from the artist and to being an executive, right? Because I can speak from it from being a talent, right? Because sometimes I'm TT Torrez, and then sometimes I'm executive TT Torrez, right? So I realize there is a paradigm to both worlds, right? The talent part keeps me connected into what's happening. I know what's going on. I know what's moving out here. And then the executive part helps me strategize and put the pieces together based upon what I know that's going on out there.
See, but look, I am a like a Def Jam baby. You know, my first deal was with DMX, so I was around X, I was around Rockefeller, I was around Murder Inc., I was around Puff in the early ages, whatever. So it was like, I think that before that time, executives wasn't like a sexy look. You know what I'm saying? Like once I saw Puff with a bunch of jewelry on, or Irv Gotti, or this person, that person, then it's like, oh, well, I can still be fly. Like I don't have to be in a suit 24/7 or whatever. Like,
but also we only saw white executives.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like back when we came in the game, it wasn't a lot of people, because me and you were around the same age bracket, and we kind of came up in the game together in different ends of the game. But we all saw white men predominantly at the top executive stages. We didn't see people that kind of look like me and you. Now that's changed. I think Puff, Jay, all those people, Irv, all those people you spoke about kind of kicked the door in for us to elevate the executive side and make it look cool.
True.
Like you said.
And I think I went through that when I worked with Atlantic as well. And that's what made me like so adamant and just like really like gung-ho, like, man, I'm going with Ghazi. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of different people, when I expressed it and I said I'm going to go do this deal or whatever, they're like, oh, you're going to leave a major label system to go do this with Ghazi? And I'm just like, yo, he believes in me. We're both like-minded. He actually does music. Like Ghazi, he's a humble
That's the
beast.
part right there.
He's still mixing records. He's still in the trenches with, you know what I'm
even
saying?
when you're not in the room, guys. When people ask me about Ghazi, and a lot of people do, they like, oh, what you think? Should I go here? Blah, blah, blah. I always say this about Ghazi. He is an artist executive, which means he cares about the artist regardless if the artist is making him money.
Facts.
Like, he cares about the artist. And I think you got to commend that, because there are a lot of labels. When you start making them a lot of money, they're on your ass. They love you. They hate you. They just want everything. They want to be around you 24/7, right? Like, you're their moneymaker. But when you don't have a hit record,
it's over.
and when you're cold, and when you're struggling to find your way, or you're dealing with addiction, or whatever the case may be, whatever comes with an artist, they're so quick to leave you by the wayside. That's why I respect Ghazi a lot.
This what the realest thing to me was, though, too, because, like, I'm making these records, and when you're in a corporate situation or whatever, and it's just like, man, like, I'll go make a record that's a hit that I believe is a hit, and then somebody, like, with all due respect, like a white guy that's never been in the studio or been around these artists or whatever, be like, well, maybe we could change this or that. And it always threw me off. But like when I linked with Ghazi, when we did, because Ghazi has an amazing compound that's in San Francisco that I have a room in that I work out of. We made Blues record Baddest in that compound. And that was like, yo, we're going to get, and it was it was pressure on me, because I'm like, yo, I just left Atlantic. I want to make a hit out the gate. So the first thing we do has to be a hit. And we created that record. And after the record was done, he still challenged me. He came back to me and said, bro, this record's too long. You have to figure out a way to make this transition or whatever. And that's what prompted me to do like the breakdown before 2 Chainz verse and cut the hook a little bit shorter. But that was Ghazi telling me like, yo, you really know how to do this. You need to go and change this and change that. And I respected it so much, and it ended up working out for us.
I love that. See, I love you. Ghazi, I love you.
Good job, Ghazi. Good job.
You're so smart, Ghazi. God. And I also think, too, Ghazi and what they're doing at Empire, and Ghazi, you could speak to this if you want to swing it, the whole cryptocurrency thing, too. A lot of people don't understand that game, but you're paving the way for a lot of people to really understand what that is like. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Transparency, creating transparency.
When you first created Empire, did you think it would be the Empire that it is today?
I never looked that far ahead.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't never look at the war. I just look at the battle.
Wow.
If you look at the war, it becomes insurmountable. But if you fight a battle every day, by the end of the, like 5, 6, 7 battles in, you're like, wait a second, I can actually win this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What advice would you give to artists in terms of like wanting to hit the reset button, like Hitmaka said? You suffered a lot of loss with some of your artists, you know what I mean? Publicly, and I know that had to be really hard with you, like I said, because you are an artist executive. How do you deal with all of that and still run a business?
I think that one of the fascinating things about humans is our ability to have perseverance. And so some people have an excessive amount of perseverance and some people don't. Hitmaker is the epitome of perseverance. I lost a lot along the way, even just trying to even start Empire. I was already 33 years old when I started my company.
Wow.
A lot of artists are at the tail end of their careers at 33. I was just getting started, but it was 20 years of accumulating a lot of knowledge. I was compared to like bumper cars, right? Sometimes the bumper car just keeps running into the car, and then you're in your own way. Sometimes you got to pull the car back to create a lane for yourself. And so there was a lot of things that I encountered where I just kept banging my head on the wall, and I would wake up and just say, this is not going to work. I got to try something different. So there were many failures along the way before the company even started.
And there's this big misconception, right? That you have to do this by a certain age, right? Particularly in hip hop. For whatever reason, we put this imaginary stamp on our artists, our executives, and people in general. We say, okay, once you hit 30, you're washed, and we put you out the pastures. I think that's something that we have to start changing in this industry.
I think that's going away though. Yeah. I think it's big. I think a lot of it had to do with the hip hop generation being relatively young, but now the art form has matured and is older, and people of our age are still hip hop fans. Yeah. So I think there's something for everybody now.
Yeah, and with streaming, it helps with that, right? Like, I say, look at Nas, right? Nas is not out here trying to chase radio. There's not one person that calls me about playing a Nas record on the radio. But people who are Nas fans can go stream King Disease 1, King Disease 2. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and he won a Grammy. Yeah. He won a first Grammy in over 40.
That's crazy. The career that man had to be winning a Grammy is such, at this time, is like, wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Nas and Hit Boy.
So I have to ask you this because, you are a producer and everybody's talking about these massive albums that just dropped. And I have to ask, what's your favorite? So I'm putting you on the spot. Donda.
Okay.
J. Cole.
Okay.
Or Certified
CLB.
Lover Boy.
I'm biased because it's like, man, I'm from Chicago and I love Kanye. But just for me and the music that I love, of course, it's Certified.
Wow.
Shout out to Drake, you know what I'm saying, man? Got nothing but love and respect for Drake. Collaborated with Drake a lot of times, and every time we've collaborated, we've got a plaque. So
yeah,
I'm gonna stick with him.
Enough. I gotta put you on the spot real quick.
Right,
Which one was yours?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I've even heard Drake's whole entire project yet. I think I'm gonna just say Kanye for now.
Kanye, because Kanye's a heavy hitter. Yo, I'm gonna have to go with J. Cole.
All of them are amazing.
I'm gonna have to go with J. Cole. I love Certified Lover Boy, and I love Donda. And shout out to Herb Gotti, because me and Herb Gotti, we go back and forth on text all day. And then I'm like, Herb, listen to track 1. He said, TT, I listened to the album. Like, me and him, like, go back. Like, we legit talk music all day. And I just go back and forth with him on records. But I feel like Kanye does the Kanye thing, how Kanye wants to do it. And I respect that as an artist.
For sure. The marketing was genius. Oh, man, how they rolled it out. We never seen nothing like that before.
You know who has a great album? Meek Mill.
I haven't heard it all.
Oh, my gosh. I was in the studio last night.
You love it?
I love it. Meek Mill is singing. By the way, singing on a couple of his joints, kind of a little bit singy.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, but for him to step back and do something different and try different flows and stuff like that, it was simply amazing to hear.
Shout out to Meek. You know I love Meek, man. That's my guy. We got several plaques together.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
How many plaques do you have, and where do you keep them all?
I literally only have one. Wait, hold on. I'm lying. I have 2 plaques. It's one that one of my co-producers bought me, and then this other plaque that's the 70 million plaque or whatever. I went to Tricky Stewart's studio in Atlanta, and I was just seeing all these massive plaques, 50 million. I just told myself, until I get to 50 or past 50, I'm not buying a plaque. So I'm not gonna buy a plaque until I get to 100 million.
Wow.
It's just like, I think people get caught up in their own hype. Like, if you at the crib and you got plaques everywhere and all that stuff, like, I work like a slave still.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a plaque.
You do work.
Yeah,
guys, it's like, I got you.
Thank you, my brother.
Like, it's so crazy because you do work like you're still new. I'll hit you and be like, yo, can you fly to New York and work with this artist?
I have to.
Like,
but the scary thing is, like, I was already an artist, and I went through trials and tribulations, and I, like, went from, like, all the way up here to, like, not having nothing. So, like, that is, like, the biggest fear of my whole thing, just knowing the gifts that God gave me, knowing the blessings that have been bestowed upon me, and not taking full advantage of every opportunity. Like, even it could be the smallest artist, or if somebody's passionate about it in a company, at Empire, if Ghazi's like, yo, I want you to work with this new artist or whatever, or here, let's use this person, because we set them up like 5 different artists. Like, I executive produced Tink's album that came out. It debuted at top 10 on Billboard, and then also it's been like number 1. It was like number 1 on Apple Music for like a month. But like, he was like, yo, Tink, Blue, Rotimi, this person, Jack Boy, this person, and he just named, and then we just went and attacked and did everything.
Do you guys still have Babyface Ray over there?
Yeah. Boy.
He's super talented. I like him a lot.
Shout out to him and GT.
Yeah. Ghazi, who should we be looking out for? Like, who's on your radar that... Yeah, I know Money Man's on your radar.
Stay on that Money Man and that Mozzie.
Yeah. I like Money Man, too, because he's just... Like, I met him when you brought him up here, and he's just one of those artists that gets it, and he's smart. You know what I mean? Yeah. Album's coming? Okay. Okay. All right. So, Hitmaka, I know you've worked with everybody, and we went through all the records you have on the radio currently, but there's got to be somebody that you haven't, that you're like, I got to touch them.
At this point, I think it's probably like 3 artists that I just haven't worked with directly in the game. It's probably Hove and Beyonce.
Wow.
Yeah, but and I think I've worked with
All
Rihanna
the
indirectly.
You do, Beyonce ain't cool. Like, that call ain't come in. Come on, ho.
See, I'm not gonna say it hasn't came in or it's not something cooking, but you know that's G14 classified information. You can't really do no talking. But out for the public, for people to see and have a reference point. Those are the 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Ghazi, for an artist, and we have tons of artists that listen to Hot 97, ton of artists who hit us and want to know, like, what's the entry point for them? You know, sometimes they're so dependent on radio, and I always have to tell them there's so many other ways to get your music heard that is not solely dependent on radio. Can you just speak to those artists that are just like, yo, how do I even start?
It's really about building your own community and your own engagement. Even if that community is only 100 people or 300 people that listen to your music religiously, a lot of the translation is going to come from that community, right? Where they're going to share it with their friends or their family or their loved ones. And then you start to see kind of like the multiple of the engagement growing. I'd rather sign an artist that got 5,000 engaged fans than 100,000 casual fans.
Wow. You hear that? And when you say engagements, like, you know, sign up for TuneCore and all of these things.
I mean, people that are gonna, you can look at somebody's social media, right, and they might get 1,000 likes and 10 comments, or you might see somebody else get 300 likes and 300 comments. So that particular person has a lot of engagement because their fans are talking back to them, they're communicating with them, they're buying their clothing, they're coming to their shows, so on and so forth. I don't care if it's 50 people in the show. But if there's 50 people at your show that are shouting every word of your song, you have something. Mm-hmm. You have something that you can build off of.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes people want to get to third base before they touch first base.
Yeah.
And it's really just building that initial engagement.
And it takes patience.
And building a sound, right?
Yeah.
Something that people want.
Yeah. And it is really hard, too, as an artist sometimes to discover your sound because you can sometimes hear a sound and get easily influenced by whatever's happening in that moment.
Facts.
How do you get over that? Like, I got to create what's happening, what's hot now, what I hear on the radio, what people are streaming.
To me, if I sign an artist, even I would love to sign like the biggest artists, maybe that have big motion that's happening right now. But if I do something from scratch, I just put like 24 months, you know what I'm saying? In my mind already is something to where like, yo, like I'm comfortable. It gives the artist enough amount of time to grow into their sound, because how you grab them might not be how the story finishes, or the records that you might have caught your ear might not be the hit record that actually comes out and breaks the artist. So just being comfortable enough to say, yo, we're going to see this all the way through. This is not a quick money grab for me. I'm really investing into your career. That's pretty much how I gauge it on my end.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that requires so much discipline and patience to see a project all the way through from beginning to end.
Like my artist Rocky, who's on Remy Ma Records and on massive different features or whatever, and I'm just spreading her around and putting her on different features. But it's a long haul game with me, you know what I'm saying? Like
she's so talented. And let me tell you something. I had no disrespect to her. I have 4 people redo that hook over. Big artists. I'm not even going to say who they redo that hook. And none of them sound as good as the girl Rocky. And that's how I always gauge it. If it don't sound better than the original, when I'm hearing something, if it don't sound better, leave it the fuck alone, because that's what it is.
You different, though. You cut from a different cloth, special cloth alert, because somebody else, they might have watered down the actual product just because of a name or what, try to connect the dots on things. But like you want to stay authentic and true to the music, and that's just like the biggest thing to me as well.
Yeah. Because I guess from this side, hearing records like so early, you can hear when something is a hit. Like I can sometimes I miss them. I don't get them all. Don't get it twisted. But you feel like you've been in it long enough. A lot of it, when people go to research and this and that, you still gotta have gut.
Nah, for real.
You still gotta have gut. The numbers, yes, you gotta look at them. They're analytics to everything, but you cannot negate your gut. And when you hear something, you gotta just press the go button on it.
Factual. I like that.
You know?
Yeah, I would say it's part gut, part passion, part data.
Exactly.
So you got to have all three, because the passion is how you fuel the marketing.
Yeah. And I think, what you guys are creating at Empire, too, is not all about data. I think sometimes you can get into a system where the A&Rs are more analytic researchers. They're not A&Rs.
Yeah, for sure. We got a great team, and like I just want to set the record straight and just be clear and put it on the map on Hot 97. We are the biggest. Like, and Ghazi, a real visionary, you know what I'm saying, and bringing me to the table. I feel like he already had the music on Smash, and all the artists already have it, but now it just added a different component to where it's just like, no pun intended, a hit maker that's just in the studio 24/7 that can service any artist that comes in,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's amazing. And I can't wait.
I think the one thing that he didn't point out is that the way our relationship even started, which was so dope.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he came up to see me to talk about an artist.
Wow.
And we just started randomly having like a 3-hour conversation. And the next thing we knew, we were talking about how do we work together.
Wow.
So it was very organic. It was never
forced.
Yeah, and in my mind, he wasn't somebody that was even on the table.
Wow.
So
yeah, he was like, I thought you was coming up here to talk about a producer album or me giving you a producer. I'm like, nah, I was coming up here to talk about these artists. And then we had so many different things in common. And then he got to explaining to me about what he was involved in musically and what records he had touched earlier. And I was like, what? You did this? You did that? You did? I'm like, wait, hold on.
Ghazi been around for a long time.
I'm like, here's my situation. And he like, well, that's nothing. Let's go ahead and do that.
I remember sitting with Ghazi years ago in L.A., I can't remember if I was there for a BET award or some kind of, I don't remember what I was there for. But it's early on in the streaming game, and I didn't really understand it. Mm-hmm. And Ghazi took the time to legit explain to me how it worked. You know what I mean? And that's the type of person you are. We're at Katana, yes. And the food there is amazing, by the way.
Yeah, I love Katana.
But I say that to say, like, that's the type of person he is. He's a teacher, and he's going to teach you what you don't know. And he's also going to build with you to get you to where you need to go.
And that's one of the biggest things. A lot of people that, I hate to say this because I don't consider Ghazi. Ghazi's my brother, but a lot of people that are gatekeepers or that have that information aren't very reluctant to share information with you. So when you dealing with somebody that's just like, yo, like an open book, like, yo, this is how I started my company. This is how I did this. This is how I did this. Like, there's no value that you can put on that.
Yeah, you get to pull the curtain back and you get to see, wow, there's more behind that curtain.
Priceless.
Because we could see so far, but then you have other people that can pull it open and you're like, damn, I thought I was doing something. You ain't really doing something till you get here.
Exactly.
Then when you get here, you open it, pull the curtain back a little bit more, and you're like, damn, there's still more to go.
Exactly.
You get to, it's like growth, and that's a beautiful process.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us
Hold
today.
on, gotta say one more thing. Shout out to Ty Dolla $ign, Queen Naija, my new single that came out.
You
with
didn't
this
even
press
talk
release.
about that. I'm sorry, we talked about everything else but the single.
Yeah, my new single that just dropped is called Quickie, featuring Queen Naija, featuring Ty Dolla $ign. My first single last time I was here was Thought Box, where I had all the girls on it or whatever. That record ended up going gold. So now I came back on a more R&B level, you know what I'm saying, duet type of thing. And then from there, we're just gonna keep rolling these singles out and go crazy. But this one is definitely gonna impact radio and go crazy.
Shout out to Queen Naija. I love her.
Yo,
good friend to the radio station, and Ty Dolla $ign.
Of course.
Thank you so much. Oh, did you shoot the video? I think I saw
The video is out. It
right?
came out the same day as the song. That was really important.
And she looks popping in that video. For 2 kids, I'm like, bitch, I gotta run to the gym tomorrow. Like, damn.
Nah, they killed it, man. And I really appreciate that, because a lot of people don't understand that doing a produced album is really it's more complicated than actually doing your album as an artist, because you got to deal with different personalities. But man, just having great relationships as well as having a relationship with you to even be here to talk about this record, man.
When's the album coming out?
I'm coming out top of the year. I'm gonna drop a couple more singles, you know what I'm saying, before we end this year out, and then I'm gonna drop top of the year.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, you know how to make hit records. That's why they call you Hitmaker.
Nah, thank you, man.
It's Hitmaker, everybody. See, I got it right. I ain't call you the other name.
Hey.
And his single, everybody make sure you check that out. Make sure you watch the video on YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ghazi, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Shout out Hot 97. Shout out TT Torrez.
Oh, I love you. And congratulations on everything and your new position and your partnership at Empire.
We the biggest.
The
in
biggest.
The game.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Trying to tell them.